Hello and welcome to Top the Ninth. Today we are looking at the top 9 first basemen of all time ranked by WAR and playing at least 51% of their games at first base. To kick us off at number 9 is former Cardinals, Giants, and Yankees player Johnny Mize. The Hall of Famer over a 15-year career hit 312, 359 home runs, and put up a 70.6 WAR from 1936 to 53. Missing 3 years of his prime like many due to World War II, he missed his age 30 to 32 season due to protecting our country could have been much higher on this list if it wasn't for that. Some of his accomplishments are he led the National League in home runs 4 times, finished as MVP runner-up twice, and is part of the Yankees teams to end his career that won 5 World Series in a row, playing with greats like DiMaggio, Mantle, Whitey Ford, and Yogi Berra. In his shortened career, he is still 9th all-time in WAR for MLB first baseman. 8th all-time in career WAR for first baseman is a more recent player, Rafael Palmeiro. Palmeiro is one of 4 players in MLB history with over 550 home runs and 550 doubles, along with Albert Pujols, Willie Mays, and Hank Aaron. A great slugger with Texas and Baltimore, where he was always in the MVP conversation. During his time, was not put up with the best players in the league, as his teams were not very consistent as making the playoffs. As in his whole 20-year career, he only made the playoffs 2 times in 1996 and 97 with the Orioles. In 2005, Jose Canseco listed Palmeiro as one of the players using steroids while they were playing together in Texas, and all of the accomplishments became tarnished. One of 7 players also in the 2000 hit 500 home run club, he had a career WAR of 71.9. 7th place with a career WAR of 79.8 is pre-1900s player Dan Brothers, the first of 3 pre-1900 players on this list. He was one of the first stars of the game and one of 4 players to hit over 100 home runs before he retired in 1886. He led the National League in OPS plus 8 times, meaning he was the best hitter by stats during those years. A 5-time batting champ, he is 12th all-time in batting average with a 342 mark and 8th all-time in triples with 206. One of the first great sluggers of the game, helping his 1887 Detroit Wolverines win the championship, which 1 year later would become defunct, and Detroit not having a baseball team until the Tigers were founded in 1894. Coming in 6th is former MVP Jeff Bagwell, considered the greatest Astros player of all time, alongside Craig Biggio, played his whole 15-year career with them and is their leader in home runs. He won MVP in the strike-shortened season of 1994, where in only 110 games batted .368, scored 9 home runs, and drove in 116 RBIs, as the strike ended the season 2 months early, possibly neglecting an all-time season from him. That year, Bagwell and Matt Williams had a chance to break a then record of 61 home runs in a season held by Roger Maris. In total, he hit over 30 home runs a year 9 times. He finished with 449 for his career. He was also part of an Astros team that made it to the World Series in 2005, which was his last year, and ended with 79.9 career WAR, which is 64th all-time. In 5th place is the second pre-1900s player in Roger Connor. Winning 2 titles with the New York Giants in 1888 and 89, he's 5th all-time in triples with 233 and eventually made the Hall of Fame. One of the 4 players that hit 100 home runs before 1900. Over 18 seasons batted .316, including 1 year in which he won the batting title with a .371 average. In his first season in 1880, he played third base, where in only 80 games he made an astonishing 60 errors, which I imagine led to him making his way across the diamond to first base. During his peak from 1885 to 1892, he had a WAR above 5.5 each of those 8 years. He finished with a total of 84.3, which made him barely miss the top 50 all-time. Number 4 all-time is 3-time MVP Jimmy Fox, one of the greatest power hitters ever. When he retired, he was 2nd all-time in home runs with 534 and was up there with the greatest sluggers of his era. A two-time World Series champ aged 21 and 22. In 1929, him and Lefty Grove helped the Philadelphia Athletics dethrone the Murderow Yankees as a 21-year-old, and he was ready to show he was able to take over from Ruth and Gehrig. Unfortunately, age 23 would be the last time he would make the playoffs, but would still put up some hitting numbers rarely seen by anyone. Still to this day, he is 10th all-time in RBIs, 19th in home runs, and was a top 10 in WAR 8 seasons, and is one of 11 players in history with 3 or more MVPs. With a career WAR of 93, he is one of the greatest A's players ever, playing from 1925 as a 17-year-old to 1945. In third place is the last of our pre-1900 players in Cap Anson. In a 27-year career starting in 1871, he is still 5th all-time in RBIs and was the first member of the 3,000 hit club and held the all-time hit record for over 20 years until Ty Cobb broke it in 1923. A career 334 hitter, he didn't have as good seasons or peaks as the others, but his longevity and him never having a bad season led him to a total WAR of 94.3 and helped put baseball in the national spotlight. Second place is the recently retired Albert Pujols. His career started off as good as anyone's as he was a top 5 MVP finisher in 10 of his first 11 seasons, all with St. Louis, before he signed a $200 million contract with the Angels. One of the 4 members of the 700 Home Run Club, many younger fans may remember him as a waste of money for the Angels, but most remember him from St. Louis where he was the best player in the game. Finishing with 3 MVPs, 2 World Series titles, 11 All-Stars, 3,384 hits and 700 home runs, no one put more fear in opposing pitchers in the 21st century other than Barry Bonds. In 2022, he finished his career 4th in home runs, 5th in doubles, 2nd in RBIs, and 10th in hits all time, and would have a much higher WAR if he didn't end up DHing it with the Angels in his later years. One of 32 players with a WAR above 100, he finished with 101.5 all time. The number 1 first baseman all time is the immortal Lou Gehrig. Him and Babe Ruth were the best 1-2 punch in baseball history as they powered the Yankees to many records and championships. Gehrig ended with 7 World Series titles for the Yankees and is one of 16 captains in their history. He had an MLB record playing 2,130 games in a row, which is about 14 straight years of not missing a game, and that record seemed unbreakable until Cal Ripken did it. The Iron Horse only played 16 full seasons, with him being out of baseball at age 36 due to ALS disease, which ultimately brought his death at age 39, but not before he gave the greatest speech in baseball history. Part of the 27 Yankees, which many think are the best team ever, they had 110 wins, with him and Ruth putting up 6 runs a game combined. A career 340 hitter, he hit 494 home runs also, 7th all-time in RBIs, and his 113.8 wins above replacement put him 1st all-time for first baseman and 18th out of everyone that ever played the game.